most of the history of neuroscience, which is pretty short for a science, what we've been able to study are the kinds of things that brains in general do. So things that brains of all kinds of animals can do, so that we can study these functions in humans and in non-human animals. And in particular, studying non-human animals has given us the most detail about how neurons get put together to do complex functions, because then we can really look at neuron by neuron, how does vision get put together, how does motor control get put together. And so this history has led to a focus in neuroscience on exactly those functions that our brains share with other animals. So in particular, how we see, how we hear, how we feel, and how we decide to control our movements, which are incredibly important things to understand how our brains do. But for anybody who's a parent in the room, watching your own child grow up, that's not the most striking thing, although it's fabulous when kids start to walk. But what's amazing is to watch a kid start to interact socially. And this starts actually from birth. So babies, the day they're born, prefer to look at a face than to look at something that's like a face but not a face. And most parents will remember the time around 9 months when kids start pointing to things or following point or asking for your attention or sharing attention long before they can talk. They already want to know. And so, for example, 11-month-olds, one of the things they'll do is they'll point, and in experiments where the experimenter didn't respond, they wait for the person to follow and look. And they're not even happy when you follow to look. They then want you to look back and confirm that not only did you look, but you looked because they told you to look. And so there's this coordination that I'm showing you and you're looking. And so these essentially human capacity to interact socially. So how do we know it's essentially human? People have been looking at, for example, our closest evolutionary neighbors, apes, to say, well, is this a common thing across all animals, or is it really something that humans do specially? And in particular, this example that I just gave, so teaching, showing deliberately, trying to get somebody else's attention, seems to be something that human beings do that none of our ape relatives do. So ape babies will watch adults who are doing something interesting, like opening a nut. But the adults don't seem to show any evidence of showing the baby how to do that. So they don't slow it down, they don't turn the angle, all these things that human adults, and in fact even human kids, they're starting to do experiments on teaching in 2-year-olds, which is really funny to watch. But they're very desperate to teach, to show you how you're supposed to do things, and also to tell you when you're not doing it right. That's not how you do it, right? 2-year-olds are really motivated to convey that kind of information. So that's a huge thing our brains do for us. And then what you want to know is, okay, well, how do our brains do that? And right now we're at the very beginnings of being able to answer that kind of question, partly because to the extent that a function is unique to the human brain, then you can only study that function with tools that work in humans. So you can only study it when you can study it in the human brain. And those kinds of tools, those technologies, have really only been available for the last 10 or 15 years. The most well-known is functional neuroimaging. So probably many of you have seen a picture of a brain with a brightly colored bit that's lit up. So that lighting up is a way of showing the results of the statistics from a brain imaging scan. And what brain imaging has made possible is being able to take a live human being. We call them normal human adults in my lab. They're MIT undergrads. And we
not so sure about that.
We put them in a scanner, and we can get them to do all kinds of things. So we can have them talk or read or watch a video, and then we watch how their brain is processing that information while they're doing it. And so we can study these functions live and online in healthy humans without interference.